You're starving, contemplating where to feast at. Finally, you make a choice. You're eagerly waiting in line at McDonald's, salivating at just the thought of holding that warm, somewhat delicious-looking burger in your hands, when suddenly your happy thought comes to an abrupt halt as you hear the customer's order in front of you. As you're standing behind the customer, marveling at the size of his order, you hear him pause at the end of the order, and then he bellows, "And I'll have a Diet Coke with that?" Now you're standing there with an astonishing look on your face, as if you have just witnessed some paranormal activity. Now you think to yourself, what is the point of ordering that Diet Coke? Does it actually benefit you by ordering a diet soda instead of a regular soda? If you think diet soda is a healthier choice, then stop right there, because I got some news for you. You might think you're doing yourself a favor by choosing a diet soda over a regular soda, but in fact, you're causing more problems to occur and develop. A study by Purdue University showed over 40 years of research on the effects of the artificial sweeteners and the health problems involving diet soda. A new study has found that the artificial sweeteners in diet soda can cause weight gain, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and heart disease, says Eliza Shapiro of the Daily Beast. This just adds to the mountains and mountains of research that just shows how bad diet sodas really are. Another report in General Dentistry found that heavy consumption of diet soft drinks can erode teeth as much as crystal meth and crack cocaine. Diet soda is full of these artificial sugars, which are empty calories. These empty calories are the main source of weight gain attributed with diet soda. According to the USDA, 16% of calories on the typical American diet come from refined sugars, and half of those refined sugars come from beverages added with these sugars. Mr. Jacobson of WebMD states. Now, if that doesn't change your mind, this next little bit of information should do that trick. Now, have you ever wondered what's really in your diet soda? While most of it is artificial sweetener, there are some underlying ingredients and additives that can cause immense harm to your body. Aspartame is the most dangerous chemical found in your diet soda. Aspartame is a sugar substitute that has no calories and is 200 times sweeter than sugar, says Christina Phillips on the Campus Companion. That just sounds like something you don't want to ingest. Aspartame tells your body that you are ingesting sugar, and that causes your liver to release insulin. But since there is no food to break down, your body craves more sugar, which makes you crave more sugar to ingest. This is what causes the diet soda drinkers to have more weight gain instead of losing the weight. Now what is even more interesting is that the report showed that caramel color used to blacken carbonated soda water contains a carcinogenic chemical whose cancer-causing power is so strong that California added it to the list of chemicals known to cause cancer. Now you're probably sitting there thinking, how is the caramel color dangerous? Well, let me tell you. Caramel color 4 is prepared by the controlled heat treatment of carbohydrates with ammonium-containing and sulfite-containing compounds. California specified that no more than 16 micrograms of the chemicals in the caramel color per day is okay, but anything over 16 micrograms can cause significant risk. The Center of Science and Public Interest found that one single can of soda contains 130 micrograms, 8 times higher than California's dangerous threshold. That's just one can of soda. Think about how many people you know that drink more than one can of soda a day. If you think about it, you're doubling, sometimes even tripling, your chances of diabetes, heart disease, and weight gain. After hearing all the information stated above, next time when you're ordering some giant McDonald's meal, think, is a diet soda really worth the risk? Or is it a smarter choice to just get some ice cold water? Thank you.
So William, a few comments, please.
Okay. I thought his attention grabber was really good. It definitely had me interested in the speech. He spent a lot of the time looking at his notes, but when he wasn't, he had really nice eye contact with the audience. He seemed to really know what he was talking about and seemed to have researched and maybe even practiced his speech a few times. Overall, I think he did very well.
All right. Well, I like the visualization at the beginning. I think is the most effective part of the speech because it pulls us in. You've got kind of a punchline to it. We suddenly know what the topic is, and it leads to a very clear statement of what the claim is. I do think that you need to preview the contents a little bit more so that we know how it's going to develop. But you've got the right idea here. The supporting material is, the first piece of information. You do give us a source citation, and it's very generic. It's got a whole bunch of all the negative things that are involved in consuming diet sodas all thrown into one quote. So I'm kind of assuming that that's almost the preview of the speech. You're going to be talking about those individual points. And a couple of them you do talk about. Mostly, though, it's, empty calories, aspartame, and then, the caramel coloring that you've got. So those seem to be the threats. The problem immediately is that whole section on empty calories is really not about the diet soda. You're making this generalization here, but it doesn't apply to this particular subject because there are no calories in the diet sodas. So there aren't empty calories. When they talk about adding refined sugar to a bunch of things, that's clearly not the same thing that we're talking about here. So that's a little bit confusing. And it's the first of your major supporting ideas here, so that undermines your ethos a little bit, your credibility here, because I'm going, well, he's not talking about diet sodas at this point. He's talking about junk food, which is something different. Yeah, there's plenty of empty calories out there. The whole point of diet sodas is to avoid those empty calories. When you're sitting there at the beginning, I'm really hoping that you can convince me, because I would love nothing more than to go back to drinking real Dr. Pepper. I would just be so thrilled to pieces, it would just, So that would be helpful. The diet soda is worse than the regular stuff. Drink the regular stuff. Okay, I could go with that. But like I said, that first point doesn't seem to fit. Now, aspartame is the ingredient that you talk about, and you've got this statement that says it's the most dangerous of the ingredients. And then your support for that is a little bit vague. You do have this theory that explains about how it affects the digestive process and how the insulin is produced, that sort of thing. And I like that theory. I just need to see some proof of that theory. What's the research that backs that up? And have there been studies done on people who consume aspartame? Do they have this particular effect? Or is this just a theory that this person has? And why is this person's theory trustworthy? This is a place where their credibility would be really helpful. So if you could tell us that they were an endocrinologist or a dietitian, and they're specifically telling patients that they should avoid the diet drinks because this is the effect that it has. Okay, well that would give me at least some reason to believe it because of the person's credibility. And then if you could back it up with some research that shows that this is in fact what happens, that people who start drinking diet drinks gain weight, for instance, that would be really useful there. The issue about the caramel coloring, we get some general information about the carcinogenic risks. I don't know why California standards are the standards that we ought to use. I think it's a good standard. The idea that, look, the official standards of the state of California, which requires us to do this, is, on the other hand, California's a little bit whack, and we have rules that say, have you noticed every time you walk in the grocery store, it's got a sign there that says there's carcinogenic material in here in the grocery store, because we've got a law that says you have to reveal that sort of thing. So it doesn't matter how carcinogenic it is or how dangerous it is, it's required to have a label. That's the question then. It becomes, how dangerous is it? Is it, you say it's 4 times the rate that California requires in order to be notified of its existence. Well, does that mean that it increases the chance of people? People have been consuming this caramel colored soda stuff for years and years. So what, do we have some examples? Do we have some research that points to this, that we have a higher level of these types of problems as a consequence of this? That's another one of those things where you've got some warning information here, but the data on it is a little bit vague as to being something that would be convincing to people. And you know, you've got that emotional stuff at the beginning with your visualization. I think you need to get a little bit more connected with the audience here as well. It really feels like the conclusion of the speech happens very quickly, and I think you need more summary at what you're talking about. You had a few things that you identified well. The delivery issues, I thought that your voice was pretty effective. Your eye contact is inconsistent. You're very dependent on the notes. You do look up, and when you speak to the audience, you are speaking to the audience, but you're not doing that as much as you probably should. And that's one of those places where instead of reading the cards, you should be explaining what the theory is and then go to the information and say, okay, and here's the study that shows that this is the case. That way you're not, doesn't seem like it's cut and paste sort of, here's the theory, I'm going to read the theory and to you, and that's the proof that I've read the theory. It's the other way around. Let me explain to you what the theory is. Here's how it could affect somebody. Let's go back to a visualization. Somebody who's trying to worry about their weight. They're consuming diet sodas, but they're actually doing something worse for themselves. And Dr. So-and-so points this out, and then you can look down and look at your notes, and I think that would be a good way to do it. Your gestures are very limited because you've got your hands tightly gripped on the two sides of the cards there, and it just feels a little bit less like you're engaged with the audience as a result. All right, thank you.